counting the cost, the Good Samaritan. And although you won't find them in John, they're in the first three Gospels. And I am, of course, talking about parables.
Very Hebraic, and so very Jewish, and Jesus draws on some very rich traditions. Do you know how many Jesus' parables there are in the scriptures?
The Septuagint has 47 parabolae, and the Vulgate had 33. Which is correct, I don't know. That was the Old Testament.
They're around about 39 in the New Testament. And in terms of the way that the New Testament parables are structured, I think that there are probably only 5 parables that correspond to the New Testament style in the Old Testament. Poor man with a single lamb who's taken by his rich neighbour and given to a guest. That's found in the book of 2 Samuel. We've got the wise woman of Tekoa in 2 Samuel. We've got the prophet's disciple in 1 Kings. We've got the vineyard that doesn't thrive despite the care that's given it in Isaiah 5. And you've got the farmer who doesn't plough continually but prepares the field, sows his seed, arranges all of his work in order, and that's in the prophet Isaiah as well. So there's probably only 5 Old Testament parables that actually mirror the sort of mechanism and style of the New Testament 39. Just as a little aside.
Were they called mashal in Hebrew?
Yeah, so mashal is that word for parable. Within the wider Jewish parlance, mashal in the Hebraic culture was also used to describe a number of other forms of rhetoric, such as fables or concise sayings. Like tomorrow is another day, that sort of thing. But in the Jewish parlance, a parable falls within the overarching realm of Haggadah. Haggadah was also used to describe a legend, a parable, an anecdote, which was then used to illustrate a point of law in the Talmud or the Mishnah. The Talmud is that body of Jewish civil and ceremonial law, and the Mishnah is the oral tradition. It was also used in the Gemara, which is the rabbinical commentary on the oral tradition.
Post Jesus, yeah.
So, the rabbis taught that the primary purpose of Haggadah, which a parable would sit in, is to know God. One of the rabbinical writings, it's in Sifra, Deuteronomy 4:9, says, if your desire is to know him who spoke and the world came into being, then study Haggadah, and from this study you will know him who spoke the world into being, and you'll cleave to his ways. So Haggadah was storytelling that has a message, and it's really centered not just on the story, but on God, and God in a way and among the people that he loves.
Yeah.
Because parables are really all about relationships. How do the relationships work? Where do they sit?